Committee meeting for September the 14th, our regular finance meeting for the month of September. We have 9 justices of the peace and 4 of our elected officials, plus 2 of our JP elects with us today. We've got 2 or 3 things that we want to do. We'll do a regular monthly meeting, and then we'll do an initial look at our revenue projections in some of the accounts for the beginning of the 2021 budget for this year. August 31st, everybody should have gotten their finances emailed to them, your expenditures. 2/3 of the way through the year, 67%. The budget in general is in decent shape. We're not rich, we're not broke. The elected officials, as has been the case in the past, are doing a good job of keeping their departments within budget. With 67% of the year, county judge is at 67%, county clerk at 62%, county treasurer at 64%, county collector at 59%, county assessor at 64%, the circuit clerk at 65%, and the county sheriff and his general fund budget at 67%. County general and overall was at 64%. So in general, we're still doing fairly well at holding everything within the budget. County roads is at 52%, and the county landfill is at 49%, county jail at 60%. The county roads and the county landfill in particular can sometimes get a little bit kiltered in the way we look at their budget because of certain line items that may be large line items, but may not necessarily be all expended in a month-by-month basis. So with that said, I'd just like to go to Justice Burge for just a second, see if he wants to touch on the landfill a little
It's
bit.
actually, if you pull out the improvements, the self-construction, it actually calculates out to 59%.
Okay.
So we're still under budget, but it's 59% on operations.
Your landfill budget and your big expenditures, guys, is page 50 through 54. If anybody cared to overlook at it, and if anybody's got any questions for Justice Burge.
There was one thing I did want to mention, and Kelly, I know, is running the program on it or something, but in the email it mentioned that landfill revenue was projected out to be about $500,000 short. But I went back and ran some numbers on it, and I know that's a computer projection and so forth. But according to my numbers, we're actually just almost even with what we were last year.
This time last year?
We had a big fall now. Our revenue through August is 2.2 million, 2.25 million, and we ended up at 3.6, but we had a good fall. So, but it concerned me. I knew we'd been running about 150,000 behind, but when I saw that 500,000, I thought, my goodness. But I think that's probably based on some average.
It's based on what we've gotten so far this year, projected out to the end of the year. If we keep going like we're going, we're gonna end up about 500,000 less than last year. But like you said, we had big falls.
We had big falls.
So
September we had 557,000. October we had 441,000. November 190,000, and December 286,000. So it all kind of depends on how these next 4 months go. But through August, we're actually a few dollars ahead of last year.
I noticed in this month we've got 0 in August. We spent 0 on hauling leachate.
That's what I see.
Sometimes they just don't. I think it has to do with the billing.
We got bills for July and August at the same time just last week, I think.
Okay.
The city of Luxor has to do the billing, and some of those bills, we run into that on the leases and things like that. Sometimes they'll bill 2 months at a time and do some other stuff too. So it's hard to really set it down, but it all depends on how the bills come in and how they get processed and sent through.
On page 53, we've got 3 deals to Waste Pro under other miscellaneous. 40-yard roll-off McCaney Street 40-yard roll-off Holland Street, 40-yard roll-off Armorel.
Yes, sir. And I discussed that with the judge.
Those are dumpsters?
Those are dumpsters. And the explanation was that we did not have the, countywide free day that we normally have in the spring, and we're not gonna have it in the fall. So in lieu of that, he decided to put some dumpsters around. The judge offered it to the cities, and Blythe availed themselves, and Armorel availed themselves. And he said, I think there was gonna be 4 more somewhere. And I asked about if this was a permanent deal, and he said, no, it's temporary.
Looks like they're averaging $100 a month,
$100 a
roughly,
month, that's correct.
give or take a little bit. So right now, in the month of August, we had 3 of them out there, so $300, but he's adding 4 more, so it'd be $700 a month.
I'm guessing. If they all go
But no
out.
idea how long.
No, sir. Didn't give a date. He just said I asked if it was gonna be out there full, long term, and he said, no, it's just for a while.
Also on page 53, and the judge told me about this, well, like most expenditures after the fact, but you might note we did buy a disc out at the landfill down at the bottom of page, $41,500.
Yes, sir.
And then, just a note, self-construction,
Yes. We paid 300 and,
$345,782.
yes.
How you feel? Are we gonna make it?
Oh, yeah.
We in pretty good shape?
We're in good shape.
We spent
Well, we're not.
$895,000 so far.
We spent 800, and our contract was for $2,287,000. We have paid to date through August $895,000. We still owe $1,391,851. So we owe about 1.4 million. And our balance, fund balance at the end of August was $2,053,000. $2,053,776.
We're, I deal with farmers in my private life, but, my farmers always look at the number of working days per week as we move into the fall and towards the winter, and they diminish because of the length of daylight and also weather patterns. And, where we might get 7 days a week if we wanted them during the summertime, we end up with anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5. So any idea how long it'll take before we might get this cell finished? Will it be before bad weather?
It should be before bad weather. They had 120 days, and they started July the 20th or 22nd, I think. Now, there's always overruns. I've never seen very many contracts that were completed on time. But based on that, it could be, I think, completed by November, hopefully.
It should be a big deal if we could, because if we don't get it done in a timely manner, then we may be
Well,
forced to.
they've been after it pretty good once they got started. I thought they were never gonna get started, but they've been making pretty good time.
This account 4,600 legal fees for 225,000. What's that?
That is the, you wanna answer that? I'll
That
let you answer that.
legal fees,
Yeah,
that is the, AEDQ. And that's the fees we have to pay based on your tonnage. It's $2.50 per ton. And we average about 90,000 tons a year.
I have a question. Notice that the other miscellaneous seems to be, I know the budget as a whole is fine, but the other miscellaneous seems to be way over budget. Is there a way that we could code some of that differently?
Talking landfill.
Mm-hmm.
I think that all goes back to the fact that, in the past, we've never had that much miscellaneous. And I think it all goes back to the fact that, they changed the operator down there about the first of the year, or after the first of the year. And I think that person kinda has the latitude to buy supplies and do this and do that and everything. So, I don't know what all's encompassed in miscellaneous. Now,
Well,
one
that's-
thing, let me think, wait just a second, I'm telling you something that may not be totally accurate. There was a property tax situation that came up, on the equipment that was traded back in. Riggs came forward with this thing about, well, the leasee has to pay the property taxes on it. And it was $16,058 or something like that. And that got put under miscellaneous, and I meant to get with Kelly and get that changed. It does not belong, on my printout, I've already changed it. It doesn't go under miscellaneous.
Well, that would take care of the majority
Yeah,
of it.
that's
That
what,
fixes what you're talking about there.
but our little miscellaneous stuff has been running higher than it usually does. But, we didn't have a line item for property taxes. And I pulled that out under miscellaneous. Let me see what miscellaneous was on my sheet. I'll get everybody a copy of this. I meant to make one. Miscellaneous, when you pull that out, is $1,994. It was, something we've never had before. Wasn't it 16,000, Kelly?
I honestly don't remember the
Well,
total.
but I've got it here. Hang on just a second, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you find it right to the end.
Property taxes, it was $16,085. And I'll get everybody, I'll email everybody a copy of this. I meant to make one, sorry, I forgot it.
Folks like Waste Pro, at one time I know they were, I mean, I don't want to just single out Waste Pro, there's a lot of people that dump in landfill, but some of our customers, I guess you'd call them, were behind. Is that, they all pretty much caught up?
We still have a couple behind, a lot of them caught up in August. Our revenue in August was, $395,000. And a lot of that had to do with people catching up on some of their bills. We still have a couple, and I usually, when I meet with the judge once a month, I usually point those out to him. And he has called one or two of them. In fact, he called one in my presence last month, and they indicated they were gonna get caught up, but they haven't yet. But, we have a couple, but, several did get caught up.
Are the ones that still late, are they, is it a substantial amount of money, or?
Well, there's a couple that's pretty good. We have one city that's constantly running behind, which has never happened in the past. But they did make a payment in August, but then they're still about 3 months behind. We have a grain elevator that's way over 90 days past due. And we have a factory here in Blytheville that's over 90 days past due. Not a major factory, but a factory. Usually they'll catch up, but they just have to be kind of written. But we had 2 or 3 that did get caught up.
What city is it?
Osceola.
You know, we've got an ordinance on the books where we can actually shut them off after 60 days. And we actually had gone to that point with the city of Blytheville at one point. And, they got quite a bit behind. And we actually shut them off until they got caught up. So, and it doesn't just go for cities, it goes for any account can be shut down and cut off after 60 days.
And this is public information, but I'm not picking on anybody, but the city of Osceola at the end of August owed us $66,581.09. So,
They finally did.
Yeah, they finally got it all completed today.
Today?
Some of them got Friday and there was few that got today.
Any other questions for Justice Burge and the landfill guys?
Thank you, Justice Burgess.
It all hinges on how these next 4 months go as far as, how we're gonna be. We have the money to pay the contract. But if we have some normal proceeds coming in, we ought to end up the year in pretty good shape.
Decent shape. We'll get to you in just a minute. Just a couple small things. The courthouse, budget on page 11, just in general, I don't know, and I don't think we missed it on our projections. It's just over budget and has been for a while. When I say over budget, it's at 85% of its full year's budget. That is, account 10108, courthouse. And there's several things that have gone over this year. And some of this relates now to the fact that we moved out to Burdette, and I do recognize that. But like repair, building maintenance and grounds is at 20,000. Our utilities are higher out there for the Blyville courthouse than normal. We're paying interest charges to the bank. It's not much, but why are we paying interest to the bank instead of making interest?
We make a payment to the bank on a credit card that the judge has, and if the stuff's not paid on time, they charge an interest charge.
My credit card does too.
Mike, why are we doing business with Superior when they're bugmobiles in the county and pay taxes to us? Why are we doing business with Superior?
Where are you looking at, Justice?
108, that same line you were looking at.
In Superior in the county too? I mean, I'm not trying to,
Bank's office is. Superior does our pigeons in Osceola.
yeah, I wanna learn more about that as well.
Oh, I see where you're at now. 3102 there, 108.
Superior is moved to Jonesboro, and Hackney is in West Memphis.
But I didn't get it.
No,
Really?
it's not a local company because we do residential stuff when we have to. But,
Bird control, pest control, rodent control.
It looks like we do it because we have the Superior, Bugmobile, there's some Terminex in there, and it looks like we cover a variety of, pest control.
Every office doesn't do their own, do they, guys? It's all under the judge's office, pretty much, isn't it? Okay, that's what I thought. That could have got really confusing, but every office doing their own thing.
Justice Jackson, I would just like to see us spend our money with local county
No,
folks.
I agree with you. I've always thought it was, it seems like you'd get better pricing if everybody got the same,
Well, it's just, to me, it's good faith.
But while you are bringing it up, there is the pigeon control, which I guess we'll talk about in a few minutes, so there is a plan to spend a little bit of money, in Osceola on trying to get rid of the pigeons. So someone mentioned that we spend money every month on pigeon control, and we do, we spend like $500 a month to get rid of the pigeons, so.
It's not working if you're spending $500 every month.
It's a lot of money and I think there's,
Can we suggest?
Yeah, but they won't be replacing windows, hardly.
County.
Well, that's true too. That might still may be cheaper.
But I think some of the windows need to be replaced, that might be a good idea.
Justice Burge just brought up the question if we could and might suggest to all elected officials, including the county judge, that we try as hard as we can to use in-county services as much as possible. That was Justice Nelson's question. And I don't see, we can always suggest, I would strongly suggest that every elected official and every department head use in-county services as much as humanly possible. So that's what you're asking, isn't it, Justice Nelson?
Yes, sir.
I was gonna bring it up because if you look under the road department, it appears that we're buying all their tires. It says best one tire of Jackson, and I'm assuming that's Jackson, Tennessee. So, I don't know why we wouldn't be buying them in county, the sheriff department, the road, landfill and everybody else buys their tires around the county.
Well, we got the sheriff there, we can ask him,
Well, this is the road department, it's not the sheriff.
what you said, Sheriff, 3 times.
Well, I'm just saying, he buys his in the county, and so does the landfill and everybody else, but,
I would think Raven could furnish any tire.
well, we got 3 or 4 tire places around the county, you know, Raven, and.
Yeah.
might
There's a
be-
lot more than 3 or 4, but there's a bunch, I mean,
Yeah.
every one of these service stations pretty much, or like Hawks, those sells tires, and then you got the one across the street, that sells tires, and, you know, they're side by side. And then you got Smith Tire that sells tires, I mean,
It will
there's
help
3 in
our-
Osceola.
It will help our county general tax base to spend the money here than in Jackson or Jonesboro or West Memphis.
And it may be that Tony's found a super good deal on tires, and if he's saving the county a bunch of money by buying them in Jackson, I don't have an issue with that.
Well, on our spending in general, I'm trying to figure out, you know, where our bleeding is going on a little bit. Back on that page 11 in Courthouse, repair, maintenance, building grounds, it's $20,000 over. And if you move, just a few pages to page 14, and other county in repair, maintenance, building and grounds, we're, $11,000 over in repair, maintenance, building and grounds in that division. We're just doing a lot of spending in certain areas. County roads, we mentioned it, last week, page 37. We've actually spent over 71,000 more in gravel than we appropriated, but there's 2 or 3 line items there, that more than make up the difference. And, Kelly, we never did really decide, exactly when we might make that change. You spoke to the auditors. Y'all remember this, that we were concerned about when would be a timely time to fix this.
And it was not urgent.
And they said it wasn't particularly urgent, correct?
I'll have to look at that email, but I think they just said it was up to you.
Up to us is how we did it. Well, I spoke to the judge about it, and I think that was one of the reasons that he was wanting to call a road and bridge committee meeting. I think have y'all reset one or anything?
Not yet, I'm waiting on Justice Fleeman to get back with some dates.
Well, the judge had a particular plan in mind as far as the gravel situation in particular. You know, I can't say good or bad, he's got a plan that he'd like to follow through with. He's got the money to do it with, and, he'd like to explain it to the full court. So, if we have that road and bridge committee, we're all members of it, and I would encourage y'all to try to make it. I certainly will if we can. Trying to think, nothing more particular until we get to Justice Molly and her Energy and Property Committee, and the first real order of business, I guess, for this. You wanna talk a little bit about courthouse project? Are you where you can?
Yes,
Did I catch you off guard?
I'm just thinking, one thing that we did decide in the meeting in the Energy and Property Committee meeting last week was that we are going to, you know, I don't know if you guys remember I think 2 months ago, we paid all of the fees for the roofing, project for both courthouses out of the Blyville fund. And we were going to, we knew that we had done that, but in the budget it did not reflect that. And, so we are going to fix that. Peggy's.
$72,000 or something?
$73,500 is exactly what it is. So so Peggy's gonna do a court order, or we're doing a court order. Someone's gonna go to court order. We're gonna move it. It's already done that.
Peggy's gonna give orders.
Oh, she's already done it, so it's already been done, so perfect, so that way everything, will be accurate. So, and then on the next budget, we're gonna look at dividing the interest from the checking accounts. I think Osceola is gaining some interest on their checking account as well as Blyville, so we'll divide that out. And then all of the CD interest goes into the Blyville fund, because Osceola doesn't have a CD. So, then we, made a motion to send an ordinance, appropriation ordinance for an additional $500,000 for this month's business and bills.
So would you like to put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I make a motion that we appropriate an additional $500,000 to the Bible Construction Fund.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, following the Energy and Property Committee's recommendation of appropriating an additional $500,000 in the Blythe Courthouse Construction Fund. Any other discussion, any questions for Ms. Molly? All in favor?
Aye.
You know, I noticed, Molly, we're at, year-to-date expenditures at the end of August, $3,771,835.63. How you feel about our making the budget? You did send this out, which I
Yes.
greatly appreciate.
Yes, so Aaron and Kelly are working hard to make sure that our budget is that it's accurate and that we're tracking correctly. And one thing that we are gonna start, they're gonna start doing is to make sure that they're reconciling just kind of what Aaron has with potentially, any bills that the county may have gotten, just to make sure that we're not missing anything there, so that it's accurate down to the penny. Hopefully we won't be down to the penny, but it's nice to know exactly where we are. Aaron he's asked for a proposal, for the Osceola project, which he thinks will probably take up really most of the remainder of their money. So, see that in the next month or so, but that money's already appropriated, so.
The year-to-date on the Osceola deal at the end of August was $206,719.50.
It's been paid.
Yes.
Well, yes, but, like, the work is most of that work is already contracted. Like, so if you take a look at the budget, that budget, you'll see, I think it says maybe down there at the bottom in the left-hand corner, that we still have a remaining balance to Osceola of maybe like 640,000. And then once we transfer.
670.
Yeah, 670. So once we transfer that 73,500, they'll have right at 600,000 left to spend. But most of it's already been contracted and it's kind of in the works. Just hasn't been paid.
Looking good.
Yeah, no, it's going well. Things do pop up every month. I know it seems like we're looking at everything, and even the small things, even the $5,000 items we're trying to take a look at just to make sure, because it seems like something pops up every month. So we'll probably be looking at an additional change order that could cost us, Aaron and Mr. Brownlee are working on it, but it could be between $50,000 and $70,000 of additional expense next month. So that was not
Anticipated, which is why we have contingency.
That's right. That's right.
How much are they charging you to do a change order?
I'd have to look at them. I don't to actually generate it. I don't know.
They're not cheap.
No, they're not. No, and I don't know. I do know the one for the courthouse, the change in the courthouse millwork, that did not affect any. There was not an additional charge at all on that one. So.
We got to see a little bit of some options on colors and color schemes and paint and stuff. Any of those decisions been made?
Not that I'm aware of. Let's see, Aaron was thinking that he would hear back from Evergreen on the courtroom painting / vinyl kind of work that I think everybody saw the picture of. That, he still does not have an actual estimate on what that would cost, or at least I haven't seen anything from him. So, had good savings on the audio visual equipment for the courtrooms. That'll work out well. So.
Any hitches that you really don't want to talk about, but we need to?
No. Everything, like I said, we've gone over the budget, checked it again. Looks good. So.
Gonna hang with you on your committee for just a second. Today is mid-September. We're moving into the fall. Last year's farmland rent bids, slipped by most of us. You got any plans, any thoughts?
No, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was, I did have that on the list of, I guess, my next meeting. Yeah, I don't, yes, I would like to, somehow I'd like to be made aware of when that, goes into the paper, when they're accepting bids. I've had a couple of different farmers approach me about it, that said that they missed it last year, and they'd like to know when it's going in this year, so.
I've had a couple mention it to me also.
Well, and I do know that, not, I mean, just for, I guess, just mentioning sakes, we only had one bid last year, and it was significantly lower than what, the rent that we had been getting in the previous year, so hopefully.
But that was the only bid we got.
Yeah, it was the only one we got, so,
But I think the reason that it was the only one we got is nobody was notified.
that's right.
And in years past, we'd actually been actively making phone calls to people that we thought would be interested and making sure everybody knew it.
Yeah.
And I'd really hope that we got the word out a little better this year. So, just wanted to bring it up.
Well, I'll send the judge an email and just ask to be notified, or Cindy, if you can put me on that list. And I did, additionally, I did mention the pigeons to the judge as well, just to see if, I haven't heard back from him, but.
Any questions for Justice Jackson?
I'd just like to commend Justice Jackson and her committee for the work they're doing. I think everyone sleeps better knowing that
She's on top of things.
she's on top of things.
Yeah, her and her committee are doing an excellent job, I agree.
And I do like the way she does send out emails
Yes, I
to
do
the
too.
committee members. I don't know
Well-
if we, the others.
She's keeping us all informed, and that's all we've ever asked, is just to be informed.
Yes, and that makes a difference when you know what's going on.
I don't worry about it, I don't wanna make those decisions, and I don't worry about it, because I know Justice Jackson and her committee are looking at it now, and I feel much better.
Well, I'm on the committee, and I appreciate her emailing me to keep my head straight.
You need somebody.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, something, you know, I didn't see that over here.
Well, I tell you, I do think it's a big project, and there's a lot of moving parts to it, and so, I think we need to continue.
It takes
keep
everybody.
close. Yeah, it really does.
Well, and anytime you're in a building project like that, you have changes coming at you constantly. Bill knows it, Rick knows it, people that have been involved know it. When you're involved in something like this, it's constantly changing. And so you have to really ride her, don't it, or it can get out of hand in a hurry.
They're riding good horses, they're
Yes, they
keeping
are.
on top of it. County Treasurer? Can you address us a little bit about where we at? I haven't seen, and you and I just didn't get an opportunity to visit before the meeting started. Where are we at, county general fund balances and how things looking from your perspective?
Well, the county general balance today is $1,095,000.
So we're breathable.
Yes.
We're not rich, but we're breathable.
Yes. And, the revenues, you know, for August were, still, you know, more than what we had projected, in county general and county roads, so we're still doing pretty good there. The taxes weren't overwhelmingly great, if Susan might want to contribute anything on that. I guess this next month they should be better, I would say.
It has started picking up.
So we should start seeing, you know, bigger collections there. And Harley is working on the pilot agreements, so I'm sure he has some contribution to make on that in just a few minutes. So we talked a little bit this morning about what maybe we could expect on a couple of them, so hopefully we'll, you know, be getting some more money in on those also. So.
Susan, any other comments you wanted to make on?
No, but I do look for our collections to start to pick up. Our mail is increasing, and I'll put a notification in the papers and on my Facebook and all that, so. It'll start to pick up.
So we've got the $500,000 appropriation coming from energy and property. We've got the resolution that's gonna cover the two SROs, or the two positions coming out of Personnel Committee. Is there any other appropriation ordinances or anything need to come out of this committee today for next Tuesday's meeting? Kelly, are we missing anything as far as appropriations or anything?
I don't have any.
Okay, so we're gonna call this month's regular business good and move into the very beginnings. And we're just gonna touch here today. We're not gonna spend hours at all.
You were going to ask Harley last week about the money from Osceola.
Which is exactly where I was headed. We're gonna move into the revenue portion of the 2021 budget, just to begin. And since he's brought that up, Harley, you play a big role a lot of times in our revenue projections and not just with taxes and all that, but with pilot agreements and tracking monies from the various large entities.
We were fortunate because, you know, Big River still didn't have to pay us a dime until October 10th. And I made a couple of calls, plus a couple of, also was approached by the school district. And so I called and checked with them and told them how gracious they were to always pay early. And 2 days later, we got a check. So that helped out quite a bit from what I understand. I know I delivered over $3 million to the school, and they were really excited. They always are when they see me.
You know, they did that for us last year. And we pointed out the last 2 or 3 years that we're finally seeing returns on our economic development taxes with the programs and the industries that we brought in. And, you know, there's usually a grace period in these pilot agreements, but we're finally getting a return from.
Then we're getting beyond the grace period.
Money
is coming.
Exactly. The one that Justice Nelson was asking about in particular involved Plum Point. Is that the one you were talking about? Oh, Big River, the Big River.
The Big River did come in, so we do have it. How much was it? Almost $900,000.
Whoa.
Yeah,
County General got 951,000.
just from Big River.
Let's split that up.
There's 9 of us sitting at the table.
Yeah, split that up. That's bigger than last year.
Y'all just give my check.
Harley, you know, we had a period of time with Plum Point Energy and their payments to the city of Osceola, and then that relay of the county's part from the city of Osceola to the county, and we missed about 3 or 4 years. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, we've got one more year of double payments this year due from Osceola.
I believe you're right on that.
I think those payments were like $186,000 and cents each.
Came out to $166,000, I believe it was,
Per payment.
per payment.
And I think we're due 2 of those from the city of Osceola this year.
And if you get it into the, we were figuring out what, in fact, that's what I called Peggy this morning about, was Plum Point and the County General, out of each one of those would get $97,636. So County General will get a pretty good chunk of it on that. Comes out, County General usually out of all of, it's a little about 57% of whatever the county gets. So get a pretty good chunk of that. I checked with all of them right now, and good thing about Big River was that they sent in their assets, and I appreciate them. I wish all of them would do what they do. So I was able to figure, you know, their bill on that. Well, they were like $500 $100,000, assessed value over last year. So that's why we got extra money this year. So, but they do get a depreciation. So you take last year's budget, or what they, assets, you depreciate that, but you take the difference between this year and last year and add that back onto it, and then charge them for the full amount there. Not the full amount, but 20% plus 35% off of it. So we did get extra money from them on that, and I got with the Bible collector this morning, and last week, and talked to them too. And of all the money that county general will get will be $248,445. They have not put one of the new projects in. They did put it in, but it wouldn't be paid till next year. So we're waiting on that. We will get, from what I understand, about $150,000 extra next year just from that one group. So we're looking good on the pilot agreements. All of them, I would say roughly somewhere a little over maybe $1.2 million. And then next year I had that $150,000 extra on that.
Good.
And as they finish their projects out there, you know, where they're in construction, we don't charge them taxes on it. And as soon as they do, then we go ahead. But we missed this year getting with them Nucor like we usually do, due to the fact of this COVID thing. They couldn't make it arrangement, we couldn't make it arrangement, and that was right during that, that was right at March when we were ready to, in fact, it was all set up, and they canceled out, and then we tried to reset to sit down with their people, and they're willing to sit down with it, and I think we're getting close to setting up a time. And after that, I should be able to give you an accurate reading from them.
Yeah, because I don't know if it was all done under pilots or not, but see, they've had about 3 expansions.
Yeah, and those ones we're talking about, the expansions, when they finished, then they're added on.
Well, they had the JMS, and then they did a paint line, and then they did another line they're working on now, so.
That's that, yeah, and as they get finished,
Yeah,
That was done, all 3 of them was pilot program.
right, okay, well then they will eventually all end up on.
they will, and I talked to her about that. I think the thing that gets me is I can look at Big River Steel and the factories out there, and I can pretty well put my finger on it, and because I actually send the bill out. But with her, with the city doing it from here, we don't get that much say-so. I wish we had a lot more, but we're doing a lot better than we used to, because we are meeting with them, and we all meet together, the city and the county both. So it's working better for us. This year just kind of had a lip in it, I guess you would say, of this COVID thing.
Yeah. Viral blip.
Yeah. wasn't it?
And they're constantly, not constantly, but both plants have changed managers, and they changed comptrollers.
That is the thing, the comptroller.
Yeah.
We had a good one before, and he come in and he got to us one time, he said, well, figured it out, and said, I read this thing, we're just, said, looks like we're about $50,000. And then found out it was almost $500,000 difference. And he found it, he said, I was 1 0 off.
Well, that'll help when that all comes online.
It's getting better every year, isn't it, Art?
It is, but we got more control than we've ever had on it before. We were all blind. We just turned it over and hoped that they send us some money.
No, but you've got a much better grip on it the last 3 years now.
Oh, yes, since we've done this, at least we know it's coming and we know roughly how much, except for the new course. I wish we had more.
Any of you guys got questions for Harley? Well, we got him in, you need to take advantage of him. We appreciate your continued work on this, Harley. It's really important to us, to the whole county, and I know it really helps Peggy and Kelly in this committee to get as accurate and as much information as we possibly can. Kelly emailed out some revenue projections to everybody. The first one she mailed out was the county general fund. Should look like this on your email. It says revenue budget worksheet, and there are 6 columns in that. I'm gonna ask Kelly if she would just, it's the same that we've been doing. It's not anything different, but especially for our newer guys. Kelly, you wanna just give them a quick explanation of how to read or what they're looking at?
First 2 columns are history, and it's actual dollars, so those are the final totals for the end of the year, year to date. And then the next column is actual dollars that we have received from January 1st through August 31st of this year. The next 2 columns, for the most part, are going to be the same. The one that's titled revised will just show any changes from what we originally started with in 2020. And off the top of my head, I cannot think of any revenue changes. Most of the changes we make are going to be expenditures. So that's what those 2 columns are. And then the last column is 2021 requests. So those are the projections for 2021.
And now on the 2020 original, that like at the very top line, state general revenues, 166,500. That's at 90%, correct?
That's correct. So the revised budget and the 2020 original is at 90% of what we really started with in 2020. And the 2021 column is not, or it's at 100%.
What we hope to collect. Remember, guys, we can only budget 90% of anticipated revenues. Couple exceptions there, but in county general, it's 90% of anticipated revenues. So with that said, you're looking at the 2 years of history, then where we're at up to the end of last month, and then 2020, and just projecting out. And there's been some differences. Some of the stuff comes heavy on, like the taxes come heavy on the year end, and maybe not so much in the first 8 or 10 months. So if you just do an appropriated amount based on 12 months using the first 8, it may not be accurate. So in some instances, like in tax collections, Kelly went and used the whole 12-month projection. Is correct, Kelly?
Most of the time on those, instead of using the projection, I'll just base it off of history. More of an average, and kind of compare it to where we thought we would be for this year. The ones that are more of a steady monthly income, those are more based on projections, based on what we've already gotten this year.
So, starting with the county general, it gets broke down just like the treasurer's commission transfers in, but you'll see several blank pages there in the transfers in. When it gets right down to the nitty gritty on page 10, page 11 of what she gave us, this initial look shows our budgeted amount on 2020 at $8,540,892.90. And that's at the 90% mark. The 100% mark on 2021 request or anticipation, $9,632,372. If you compare that 9.6 million with 2018 and 2019, we actually came in at a little over $10 million in both of those years. So
That's $1 million difference.
it is, well, $500,000.
How $1,000,009.
If you go to 2019, it's 10,115,000,
Oh, that's right.
and then compared to 9,632,000, it's right at 500,000.
I had made a mistake and subtracted the original from the request.
Kelly, anything in particular that is really notable on the county general? Big swings that stood out to you?
I think when Peggy and I were looking at these, what we noticed the most, they expected and warned us for a while on sales tax money going down, and we really haven't seen.
COVID related?
Yes, and we really haven't seen that much of a difference. We have seen a difference in, you'll notice when we get to maybe jail fees and the jail part, or maybe court-related revenues, those have gone down. But no, as of right now, nothing really stands out. I wanted to know what Harley thought about the pilot, so that may need to be adjusted. But
Peggy, any comments on this county general? We're about to talk Kelly Horse.
I mean, he said 1.2, and that's what she's got on here, right?
Yes.
Like she said, the only thing that we really saw, a decrease in, was the court fines and stuff like that. We did see, a decrease in those on the sheriff's reports and stuff like that. But as far as the sales tax and stuff, we didn't, not like they had predicted, so. But hopefully, since they're having court and everything now, pretty much, I guess, as usual, that will start to pick up again, so.
It's closer than it was back to normal, but it's not completely back to normal.
Back to normal, right.
They're still doing Zooms and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see where we're at on county general then, and maybe we have just a little bit of breathing room, and we'll fine tweak this, with more information from Harley. She also sent out 3 others on the revenues.
We still haven't gotten anything from the Association of Arkansas Counties as far as what their projections are gonna be from the
State revenues?
Right. So we might have to change something when we
Could
get-
go up or down?
Right.
And that could also be COVID related also.
Right.
More than likely down a little as opposed to up a little.
Right. We probably won't get that until October though.
And we'll probably have to move forward, I hope, before then, at least with the expenditure portions of it. The other 3 budgets that she has sent out has been the county jail operation maintenance fund, the county solid waste fund, and the county road fund budgets. Sheriff, I know you haven't had an opportunity to look at it, but they mentioned the fact that our jail fees revenues are down considerably. Are you noticing that in the county jail, the jail counts and stuff?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it because of COVID and everybody's reluctant to put anybody
That's correct.
in an enclosed space?
That's correct.
Is it getting any
Even
better?
ADC's not been taking any inmates either since it's happened. I think they're gonna open up here this next week or so, start taking some convicted felons back.
Any comments, any thought as far as revenues, coming into the jail are concerned? You don't have that much, but,
No, I mean, our inmate count's been approximately half of what it normally was, or has been, but, they said it slows down with this COVID, it's gonna spike back up.
we're gonna take a real close look at what we budget as far as transfers in and out of the jail system. If you look, on page 2, on the jail budget, jail revenue budget, transfer from county general, it's, 3498.8801. Real transfers in 2018 was 439,278. Real transfers in 2019 was 1.271 million. The reason it was so low in 2018 was the jail fees that we received from the city of Blytheville, and offset it almost $1 million. We budgeted 1.6 million in transfers this year. We're gonna try to trim that a little bit if we can, and in anticipated revenues in that column on, right in the middle of page 2 on that, Kelly's dropped it down to just slightly over 1 million, down from 1.6 million. That may not hold, and we may have to bump that back up. But whatever we bump that up comes out of county general expenditures. So, solid waste fund, Justice Burge. Remarks on your landfill budget, revenues coming in?
Well, as I said, I was real concerned based on the projection. This makes it look better, but if we have good months, we're gonna be okay, but I guarantee, I don't guarantee it. That's just my wife telling me not to say that. Anyway, we can get our budget under where it needs to be. Now, the judge normally does his budget, but last year he asked us to do it, and I worked with Kelly. I haven't talked with him about it. I'm gonna be reading with him the next few days, so we'll see how that goes.
I haven't really talked to him a lot about the budget. I did mention after our last monthly meeting, I spoke with him briefly there in the courtroom and asked him if he would please consider working personally on the road department budget and then with you on the landfill budget. I asked him to work with Tony Stone on the road department budget, and I did mention to him the fact that Kelly's willing to help, and she does help Tony a lot. But if the judge wants to move money from anything, road and bridge, or from steel or bridges, and move it over to gravel, or, that's his to do. We'd like to be a little more accurate than overspending 71,000 in one column and have to transfer it over in a cleanup deal. If he's got ideas, let's put them to use. Let's make them accurate.
And I will touch base with him, hopefully sometime this week, and see how he wants to proceed.
If you look at your landfill fees on the front page of that revenue worksheet, for 2018, it was 3.486 million just in landfill fees. 2019 was 3.663 million. She's plugged in 3.250 million right now. Looking at our 2020 original budget for this year with the 90%, we had used 2.925 million. So that's your driver right there for the most part in your revenue.
That 3.25 is a good chance. That's a pretty safe, conservative number, I think. On the road department revenue, Kelly, any remarks there before we just talk? Anything stand out?
No, I just know that, Association of Arkansas Counties, they just really stressed for a long time that we would see a difference.
And particularly in the road department.
Yeah.
In fact, they said early on, in like March, 1st of March, in the correspondence to Peggy, that we might see as much as a 50% drop in road department revenues. But we haven't seen that, have we, at all?
Thankfully.
So, that could have been really impactful on us, but right at this moment, we haven't experienced that, so maybe we won't. Will not. Anything that we needed to look at real hard, Kelly?
The first section, under state aid, that's based on, sales taxes, and I took what we had received so far and projected that out, and those were the numbers I used. The next section is,
Federal levy,
yeah, that one, I'm talking about the next one after that for the taxes.
property taxes.
I just went ahead and plugged in the numbers from last year because we get a large influx in the fall, so it's not really easy to project that out, but
Okay, if you go down, and we finally get down to the nitty gritty, bottom line, initial projection at 100% is 3.042 million, compared to 2018 at 3.205 and 2019 at 3.231. So we're running really close on those. We'll try to tweak these and fine tune these as we go along. Next anticipated step on revenues, Peggy or Kelly, what can we anticipate? What do we need to do from here on these revenues in y'all's opinion?
we'll get something from AAC in October.
Yeah.
At the end of September, I'll look at these numbers again, and look at the projections, because I'll have one more month to compare it to. But, I mean, unless someone has input, you know, each county elected official, if they wanna, when they work on their expense part, they wanna look at the revenue, we do that, but.
Okay, well then let me ask y'all this, and elected officials, with this cursory look and this initial look, until we can fine tweak it, is there any real reason for us to meet next Monday? Would there be any new additional information that'd be worth bringing everybody together for? Or Harley? Anybody? Not really? Okay, so let's have our regular monthly meeting next Tuesday night. And then if it looks like we can get together the following Monday and need to, then we'll make that announcement next Tuesday night at the regular meeting. Now, there was one item before we get out of here that I meant to tend to in our regular meeting. Justice Norvell, would you pass that down, please, sir?
I sure will.
Guys, in our last regular monthly meeting, we addressed the issue that we've got a lawsuit in the county where the county judge has asked for a decision from circuit judge, which puts us in a lawsuit. We appropriated $5,000 in anticipation of quorum court legal fees. The way the Constitution has things set up, we must pay for both the judge's side of the legal fees and the quorum court side of the legal fees. So just trying to make a wild guess at where this was going and how expensive this was going to be. We appropriated $5,000 last month for quorum court legal fees, and hoping that that would be enough and this wouldn't be too terribly expensive. Just making sure he's okay.
I think he's getting tired.
Yes.
You got ready to go?
Well, his ride's probably out there. It's probably that time. Okay, so we appropriated $5,000 last month for the quorum court. We put a new line item in the budget for the quorum court legal fees. Just before I got here, and I mean 10 minutes before I left to come to this meeting earlier, I got our first invoice emailed to me from Steele Wright Gray PLLC, our quorum court attorneys in this litigation issue. And that bill is $6,200. $1,200 more than the $5,000 that we appropriated that we hoped was going to carry us all the way through the lawsuit. So we're at $6,200. Today, we're at $6,200, and on August the 5th, the judge filed additional pleadings in his case. He amended it and added some additional things that, I don't know, he just added some stuff on August the 5th. Public record, public information that you can find on Court Connect on the internet. But we had, after his August the 5th filing, that gave us until today to respond from the court side. And so that response is being filed today. And then, so that side will have time to respond again. And it just depends on where this goes. And then we'll end up, at some point in time, we'll end up before a judge in some type of hearing, I would expect. And I guess all I'm pointing at is that we're at $6,200 in bills today and we're not done. So do we want to appropriate more money or just simply go ahead and pay the $6,200 bill, wait a little bit longer and see how much deeper we get before we can, just keep on appropriating money? I just wanted to, I know what I think, but I'd rather hear what y'all think. Just Spurs?
50 one way and half a hundred the other, I don't know if it makes a big difference.
Now, you asking the question, should we,
Do we just want to make another wild stab and appropriate more money, or do we kind of want to wait and get a little more accurate account?
I think we need to wait and get a little more accurate account.
Kelly, you have a thought from an auditor's point of view, what they would,
Well, this kind of goes back to the road department, situation. So the last time I asked them about it, they just said it was going to be up to you.
okay. So, we're not gonna be arrested or put in jail if we spend, write the $6,200 check, and we've only got $5,000 appropriated at this point in time. And I think it'd be my recommendation that we just wait a while, see how much further this goes, how much deeper we get. We've made a good faith effort in appropriating the first $5,000, and,
Looks like it's gonna go deep.
Yeah, looking at that, it's gonna go a little deeper. That's what I said, wait. So that's, all that on that, that's a little deep. It may be some other things that come up.
well, we hope not. We'd like to get this resolved as
I
quickly
need
as
your
possible, but
signature.
I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So with y'all's permission and
This
agreement,
is for
then
the
we'll
insurance, for us
table
to go
this until we
forward
see
and,
Insurance for
where
what?
we're going. Is that
Our
okay?
health insurance for them to.
All right. Anybody else have anything to bring before the committee today?
No, this is like tomorrow.
Elected officials, we've got 5 of you in the room. Any of y'all want to bring anything about
You have to
either
put your initials in there.
next Tuesday's regular meeting in Osceola
All of them?
or the 2021 budget?
I'm starting on my budget this afternoon, so
Oh my.
we'll see how that goes.
And then if you'll just
Okay.
sign on this.
Guys,
one,
all I can do is
on the
just
other.
ask you most earnestly, please work on your budgets and get them to us, as close to October 1st as you can, so we can move forward and try to have it for our regular meeting in November this year. Anybody else? Kelly, anybody? All right, then with that, we'll call the meeting adjourned, and thank you very much, guys.
Michael,
Kelly.
I do want that call.
You do want what?
I do want your call.
You do want my
I
copy?
may give you a little time, but you kind of would be
That's what I want.
Oh,
If y'all don't make it,